everybody, Sam Strains here, welcome back to the Railway and welcome to yet another Diesel Month review. Today we're going to be looking at a Hornby locomotive and it's this, forgot the name, Class 56, there you go. And as you can tell by the packaging, it's a reasonably modern one, not massively modern, but I would guess sort of mid-2000s, so maybe 2005, something like that. So yeah, reasonably modern. This one was an eBay job. I picked it up brand new, mind you. It was in brand new condition for £40 plus a little bit of postage, so I was quite happy with that. Now, I'm not 100% sure of the background of this particular model because I have opened it up to service it, and I found that it has that sort of dapole mechanism inside it, similar to those that was in the, I think it was the 2P and the 4F initially when those were tender driven. So yeah, was this an old dapole model? I'm not too sure, but maybe Hornby have just recycled the motor, who knows. But yeah, it does have the dapole style mechanism inside it. So I'm going to get this unboxed for you today. Hopefully you're going to enjoy it. And it's in the EWS livery, of course, which was quite a big freight company over here in Britain. I say was, I don't think it exists anymore, does it? But I think it started in around the mid-80s and it continued through to the 2000s. So without any more yakking, let's get this one down and see what it's like, shall we? The Class 56. I think I've said enough about the packaging and such on this, so I will briefly just show you the end of the box. And this is our 2288D EWS Cocoa Diesel Electric, so technically yes, this is a diesel electric Class 56 locomotive 56058, so that is the running number as well. Okay, well there's nothing on the back of the box or anything like that with these, so I'm going to go ahead and get this one open straight away for you. Right, let's grab it at this end I think. There we go. There it is. Right, so you get this card on the top which really has nothing more than just that diagram on it, so that's fair enough. And here is the little maintenance guide or whatever, and oh, it does have a date on it actually. I was 1 year off, 2004, look. But yeah, that's just the usual sort of stuff, shows you how to maintain it. There's that mechanism, by the way, the one I thought was dapole, which I do quite like actually. It does seem to have a lot more grunt than the Hornby ring-filled motor does. So yeah, not a complaint at all, that isn't. So anyway, let's get this one out then. Let me just pull the paper back. So there you can see it then in the lovely EW&S livery, the Class 56 56058, that one. And yeah, let me get this one out. Oops, I've just ripped a buffer off. Oh, that's not good. Hang on, let me just stick that back on. Luckily it's got a square peg so I can just stick it in. There we go. Oops, that was naughty. So there you have it there, and there she is. Quite a nicely detailed thing, as you can tell, and I'll look at that in a second. Now, on the bottom you can see where it says Hornby Model Railways there. The part where it says Model Railways to me looks a lot like that dapole font, which again supports the idea that this model has something to do with dapole. And again, well, I'm fairly sure, well, I'm certain basically that there will be some people out there who can tell me exactly straight away just by looking at it that it does have a connection to dapole. So yeah, if you have any idea, let me know. But there it is anyway. I'm going to review this in a little more detail in just a second, but first of all, let's get on to the shout outs and also a little bit of history on the Class 56. I did read this out in the running session last week, but not to worry, I'm sure you'll enjoy hearing it just the same. Anyway, let's get on to that then. So the shout-outs first then, Minecon23, AI Productions and Colton Wheeler. Thank you very much for getting in touch, folks, and I do hope you enjoyed the video. So the Class 56 was introduced in 1976 for heavy freight work. The engines were hugely powerful, and even though some of them are now approaching 40 years old, they can still be seen in use on the main line. They're still not considered the ideal locomotive though, because even though they could meet most requirements, their maintenance costs were relatively high, meaning that they lost preference over some later designs, just like the ones we saw on Monday. The Class 56s were produced for several years, up until 1984 in fact, by which time 135 had been built. So there it is then, the very lovely Hornby Class 56 up against the white background for you. So yeah, it's quite an old model, isn't it? Well over 10 years old now at the very least, and that's if it was tooled in 2004, which I'm fairly certain it wasn't. Nonetheless, as you can tell, it is very nicely detailed, and we're going to look at some of that right now. So let's start by looking at the paintwork, which is quite nicely applied. There is a little bit of blurring in some places, you know, where the application is a little bit sloppy, but it's certainly not noticeable, and it's certainly not a complaint. But as you can tell, all of the lining is just very nicely done, and you can't fault it whatsoever. The lettering and numbering is just fine as well. As you can see there, you've got the running number 56058, nicely applied as usual, and also the EW&S logo, very nicely done. And of course this model features a wealth of small printed details such as these high voltage warning signs, and then you've got the little display there which shows the information about the locomotive, the weight and the power and all that sort of good stuff, and those are all very nicely legible, and so very, very good, to be honest. The model also has quite a bit of sophisticated moulding on it as well. As you can tell, the grills look fairly realistic, even though they are just a moulding trick effectively. And up on the roof, as you can tell, all of the grills and such on there just look really, really three-dimensional, very nicely moulded. The grills for the fans look fairly effective as well. Obviously, the ones that actually have a physical set of fan blades underneath them are a little bit more realistic, but this isn't particularly bad. I'm not going to say that at all. Okay, let's have a look at some of the separately fitted parts, because again there are quite a lot. Now, unlike with the Lima Class 66, all of the handrails on this particular model are metal and separately fitted, so just by the doors, as you can see there, they are metal and quite nicely applied as well. They don't seem to protrude too much, and I think they are really quite effective. And while we're around that area, you can see that the door handles as well are painted and picked out into that silver colour, so that's very nice as well. While we're on the subject of the cabs, as you can see, all of the windows are glazed, of course, they normally are, but they're done in that sort of black border, which looks very nice too. Now, around the front you can see that there are some, I believe they might be part of the moulding, or they might be separately fitted, I can't tell without my glasses, but you can quite clearly see the windscreen wipers there, which are very good. On the very front of the cabs then, you can see yet more separately fitted handrails, and then you've got these sort of orange and black cables which seem to be separately fitted. I'm going to have to plead ignorant on those, I'm afraid, because I'm not 100% sure what those are, but if anybody could clear that up, that would be fantastic. As you can see, there are little holes in this one for the lights, and it is quite obvious that those are real lights and they're not just painted, as with the Lima one on Monday, so that is quite a nice improvement on it, I would say. They're not LEDs as far as I can remember, I think they are just bulbs, but it's better than nothing, by all means. Inside the cab, again, quite a lot of detail. I'm looking at the other cab, in fact, because this one has the two little figures put inside, which is nice. Not sure if it came like that from Hornby. It must have done, because this model was claimed to be new, but that's eBay for you, isn't it? Nonetheless, you can see some of the controls have been moulded in there, which is quite nice. Now, the underframe detail is a little bit on the basic side. Don't get me wrong, the moulding is very, very advanced, but none of it is separately fitted, and for the most part, I would say these days you tend to get more sort of, you know, separately fitted detail down there, which does look a little bit more effective, but this one, as I say, isn't necessarily bad. It is quite well done. So there you have it then, a quick overview of the details. Oh, I did forget to point out that the buffers aren't sprung, but I think you probably guessed that when one came off in my hands earlier. But I think that was my fault. You definitely shouldn't be taking these things out of the packaging by the buffers, but that's something I do sometimes do just for the sake of the video, because it's a little bit less clumsy than flipping the box upside down and, you know, whatever I try and do. So yeah, there we go, a little overview of the Class 56. Not the most modern loco in the world, but certainly for its time, I would say it would have been quite state-of-the-art, really. So let's get that down onto the track and see how that dapple, in inverted commas, mechanism runs. So let's do that now. Alright, so there she is then, down onto the track, the very lovely Class 56, and she's about to be coupling up to this goods train, which is themed on the colour red, as you can see, so hopefully they will match the EWS livery quite nicely. And there are going to be some other EWS locos running alongside this Class 56 later on, so yep, look out for those in just a second. What shall I talk about now? Right, let's talk about performance. Now, yes, she's got quite a lot of weight to her, so pulling power shouldn't really be an issue. But the thing is, there is quite a lot of power in the motor unit, but it doesn't seem to have very much torque. So let me show you. She can do a fair slow speed run. I mean, well, not really. Let me try again. I did get her to do a fairly good slow speed crawl. But yeah, as you can see, she really does prefer to be going quick. There we go. Yeah, can't really do a slow speed crawl now I've said that. So yeah, and also, let me take her back out of shot, bear with me. I'm actually just going to turn her up to half power, so that's at 6 o'clock on the HM2000, and just watch how quick she goes. That was 6 o'clock. So, And full power, I have done it once, and it was basically enough to throw her off the track, so that's not something you're going to want to do. But yeah, I would have thought as a big sort of goods engine, they would go very nice and slowly, but this one definitely isn't like that at all. Oh well, let's couple up to the goods then, and see if she can pull them. And as I say, yeah, because she doesn't have a lot of torque, she really does have to go quite quick with the bigger train, you know, just so that she's able to pull them. But okay, let's give this one a go. This isn't a massively long train. I bet there's 15-20 wagons on there at the most, so she shouldn't have too much trouble with it, I don't think. There we go, and I'm going to put her at a fair speed there. So yeah, not too bad at all there. Okay, let me show you what else is going to be running then. So on the middle line I meant to say, we have a Class 58 without any train at all, and that isn't right because I did put one on it, so let me send it back. So yeah, this the Class 58 was of course in Saturday's running session, so you have seen her already. Right, oh no, she's still not coupled to them. Hang on, goodness sake. Right, I think she's got them now, she better have. So I'm sticking with the red theme anyway with the rolling stock, so it might not be prototypical, but it does match very nicely. Oh come on, you've got to be kidding. Oh. You know what, these coaches are ridiculous, their couplings are just terrible. Right, let me put the rest on. Good lord, I think we're going to have some real fun with these coaches today, folks. Yeah, goodness knows what's going to happen with those. But yeah, they are those cheap My Model Railway coaches, I think, so... oh, come on. Ah! There we go, good smack. That's what it needs. Yeah. Very odd. Well, oh well, just have to hope for the best with that. Okay, on the inner line then, we have yet another EWS loco with some red coaches, and I forgot which one this one is. Class 60, yeah, that's it. A Lima one, but still quite a good runner. So enjoy the running session, see which other engines you can spot, and there is one that's been left over from the last review, so see if you can spot which one that is. I do have to admit it's a fantastic, nice, realistic freight speed from the Class 58. Even though I don't like the mechanism particularly, you know, because they blow up and set on fire. But the speed is just right for that. That's at half speed, and the Class 56 is at nowhere near half speed, and yeah, it's still going at about the same rate. But yeah, this is what I was talking about when I was on about the torque. As you can see, she's slowed right down here. Because for some reason the room slopes upwards a little bit just here. But you'll see on the other side of the room, which I'm going to cut to in just a second, that she goes much quicker. And even now, look, she's going much quicker than she was. But as you can see, she's racing quite a bit quicker now. So it's not, you know, it's not disastrous with the train of this length that she's got at the moment. But you know, with something twice or maybe 3 times the length, I don't think she'd do it very well. So that's something I ought to test one day. I think that would be an interesting one to do. There we go, lots of EWS locos, love it. I just heard a bit of a noise coming from the coaches on this 58. Oh dear. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, they're all there. False alarm, folks. Very nice though, isn't it? As I say, I've said this about 10 times this month already. I'm not a diesel fan at heart, but these are really starting to convert me, I've got to admit. And the 58 is definitely growing on me, so let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me review that one. As I say, I never did get to review my old 58, the one that, you know, blew up. But I would have liked to have done. But yeah, a loco that's been on fire doesn't look all that good up on the review white background or whatever. So yeah, I didn't do that one. Here are my ratings then on the Class 56 from Hornby. I've given it 8 out of 10 on the detail, which I feel may be a little bit generous, but you guys will have to let me know whether you agree or not. Performance, 7 out of 10. As I say, she's a good, powerful runner, but she doesn't seem to have a lot of torque, so if you wanted to be able to pull those big trains, you have to run her quite quickly, which isn't necessarily a great thing. Character and accuracy, I think it's fairly good. I have compared it with photographs of the real thing, and it seems to be fairly accurate. And yeah, quite full of character as well, so a fairly good mark there, 7 out of 10. Build quality 10 out of 10. Because most of the detail is just moulded on, there's very little chance of you breaking anything by mistake, so in my opinion that makes it a very good quality and a very sturdy model as well. Value then, for £40 I thought that was pretty darn good, especially for a model in new condition, so I've given it 9 out of 10 there. Overall then that gives her 8.27 out of 10, and if I slot that into the ranking you can see that she comes out at 25th, just above Arian Burt and below the N2. Alright then everybody, well I hope you liked that, I certainly did, and that is my review of the Class 56. So yeah, that is it. On Saturday we're going to be moving on to something a little bit different for the running session, so yep, I hope you're going to look forward to that. But for now that is just about it, so I'm going to give you a little update on the Wall of Fame. Here's some of the pictures, so see if you can spot yourself up there. If you'd like to have your own picture put up there, just email it to me at samstrains@outlook.com and I'll print that out and put it up for you. Just bear in mind I do get a lot, so it does take me a while to get them up there, but I promise I will eventually. Alright then folks, well that should about do it. Thank you very much for watching once again, and don't forget if you'd like to check out the Facebook or Twitter pages, please feel free to. They're at facebook.com/samstrains or twitter.com/samstrains. And don't forget, if you want any of your locos servicing or repairing, that sort of thing, just drop me an email to samstrains@outlook.com and I will get in touch with you. But for now folks, thanks once again for watching and I will see you very soon. Cheers everybody.